John Wahib is back to tell us and give us advice on if you're a real estate investor and you're cold calling and you depend on a cold calling center, but you think there's some advancements you could make. John does 300,000 conversations a month with 60 callers. And we got a list of topics today we're going to go through. We're going to talk about calling niche versus mass lists. We're going to talk about how different dialers and different settings can be a huge advantage. We're going to talk about the right filters and unique filters. We're also going to talk about how he made a small tweak to pronouncing names that made a big difference for one of his callers, why he loves the new drawing radius tool in DealMachine that lets him get really intense properties and good deals without having to use some of the unique filters at all, actually. And then the final topic we're going to talk about is what he's uncovered calling 2 hours per day versus 8 hours on the weekend, which is better. So let's just dive into it. What is your take on niche versus mass lists? I mean, you do 300,000 conversations, per month. You can't possibly be doing that on niche lists, right? There's just not enough niche lists.
Yes.
Or is there?
So that's right. When you are pulling niche lists and mass lists, so I would highly recommend that you do 80% mass and the other 20% to do niche. And here is the huge difference. If you are cold calling yourself, you are not hiring someone to do the cold calling. I would say first focus on niche lists, because they are not going to be a lot of records right there. And it's better that you do it yourself because, for example, probate lists, you are calling people that inherited properties and they are relatives to whoever is deceased. You need to be decent. It's not for a virtual assistant to call them. That's my take on that. So you need to be decent when you're calling those people. You need to show empathy. And the huge difference between calling niche and calling mass is if you are calling mass lists, I would highly recommend using a multi-line predictive dialer. So that's the huge difference if you are calling mass lists versus niche lists. Niche lists can be like maximum in your city 1,000, 2,000 maximum. You can call them one by one, but if you're calling mass lists like 10,000 and 15,000, whatever it is, high equity tired landlords, I would say you have to use a predictive multi-line dialer.
John, what would you classify as like a mass list? What are a couple that you say this is a mass list? What
I
type?
would say high equity, tired landlords, absentee, all of that can be mass lists. Niche lists can be probates, pre-foreclosures, vacant lists can be niche nowadays because they are not a lot. We have seen that. I mean, when you go and do the filters and you want to see how many vacant homes in that specific city, it's not. It used to be big numbers back then in, I would say, 2019, 2020, but right now you're not gonna find that big numbers right now. So vacant, I would consider it niche lists as well. So for mass, yes, it is high equity tired landlords and all of that.
I always say, if you're calling less than 10,000 homeowners per month, the DealMachine dialer actually has a really high contact rate. We guarantee it never shows as spam. We have a lot of spam prevention in there. So your number is going to get answered most of the time. Like 25% contact rate is actually the standard, which is pretty unheard of. But if you are doing over 10,000, the multi-line dialer can be really beneficial because it's calling 3 people at once. So it's going to have your agent speaking with a new person every 30 seconds. And that's the advantage. The downside is those numbers show as spam more frequently because there's a lot of short duration calls and quick hangups. But you guys manage that by cycling the actual numbers, or the DIDs, is basically your outgoing number, right, to help manage that. But the contact rate goes down, but your agent is talking with a new person frequently. That's what a multi-line dialer is. What do you mean by a predictive dialer?
Very good question. You did mention a very good factor, which is really an important factor, which is showing as spam. That's a game changer, David. I mean, if you are calling or if you saw like a incoming call and it's a spam, 99% you're not going to answer, right? So having that advantage on DealMachine dialer that lets you avoid your number to be shown as a spam, it's a huge advantage. So what I mean by predictive dialer, it predicts, right? It predicts the voicemails. So if there is a voicemails, it predicts that it's a voicemail and it don't connect it to the caller. Like it saves a lot of time. It saves the caller's time, and sometimes if a list have a lot of voicemails, there will be a huge waiting time between calls. That's the downside of it. But again, like the multi-line dialer, it's not only 3 numbers at the same time, it can be up to 10 numbers at the same time, dials at the back end, and whoever answers it connected to the caller. So yeah.
Got it. Thanks for explaining that. Well, again, we have our own dialer, but what dialer do you like to use? It's okay that it's not the DealMachine dialer, because if the person hearing this is doing more than 10,000 calls a month, they really should export that really good data from DealMachine, put it in a multi-line dialer.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, if it's something above, if you are gonna do mass dialing or do mass lists above 10,000, I would highly recommend using a predictive multi-line dialer. The dialer we have been using since 2020 is Call Tools, and it's showing honestly great results. As I mentioned, like you can call up to 10 lines or 10 numbers at the same time. So, I mean, if you have a list that you did call before and you want to go through it one more time and do like second recycle or something like that, you can go ahead and do high channels, like 10 numbers at the same time. So Call Tools is our choice.
So we actually have Chaz, the Call Tools COO, come to our weekly Tuesday call. And you should come to this call, John, and
Sure.
anyone should come to this call on Tuesdays that we host. Actually, you have come to that call. So correct. Sorry about that. But anyway, the COO of Call Tools joins the calls. It's a community call. It's really for real estate investors that rely on cold calling, not necessarily those who are wanting to start cold calling, but again, rely on it. So
Yes.
Tuesday call, we'll put the link down below. And then if you're a beginner, come to our Wednesday call, which is like 200 people on live. We've got people, giving more beginner get started tips. So those are 2 resources we have for you guys. So that actually brings me to the next topic was, what do you mean by the right filters or unique filters? What are you doing besides absentee owned?
Most of people who are exporting lists, I mean, the first thing they do is sometimes they do quick filters, high absentee, or I mean, what else? Absentee and high quitty. Those are the top 2 everyone is going after. But I mean, if you are targeting like an area that is too saturated or have too much competition, I mean, there is unique filters that you can apply. So here is my honest advice. If you are doing wholesaling, the first filter that you want to do, I mean, if wholesaling, you're not doing fix and flip, you're not doing any other exit strategies, I would highly recommend do a maximum of price, estimated price range of property maximum at 350,000. That's the maximum I would highly recommend. That's the first one.
Well, actually,
does that depend on what market you're in, though?
It's got to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's not hardly any houses in where I'm at. 350, that's like going to put you at less than 5% of the population of town.
Yeah, I mean, if you are doing wholesaling, that's another thing. I would highly recommend like focusing on cities that don't have a higher median range of like certain. You have to set a threshold for a price range when you are targeting which city that you want to go after. So I would say 350 and lower is a sweet spot. If you want to go, I mean, for 500,000 properties, 600,000 worth of properties, I mean, it's good to do that. I mean, if you landed a good deal, you are gonna get higher or a bigger assignment fee, but you need to be so patient.
Right.
You need to, yeah.
It's gonna take you a long time. It might pay off, but it's gonna take months of work to get that one deal.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan.
Tell us about your agent who is pronouncing names a certain way. And is that just because he doesn't speak English, maybe? Or what was the difference in the learning moment there?
Yeah. So it wasn't an agent. I usually do like a consultation calls.
Okay.
And there was
With a
some.
client, a potential client. This was a real estate investor client.
Yeah, so he was doing it himself. I mean, he have the time, so he was cold calling himself. I think he was Spanish. I don't think he was Spanish. And he did complain like he is most of the he used like different sources, and most of the time like he find like a high percentage of wrong numbers, and that was for me like unusual. So the first thing I saw, like maybe he's doing like wrong mapping. You know, when you upload a list and you do like phone number one, first name, last name, and so on. I mean, he did something wrong with that. Or maybe he didn't when he uploaded or exported a list, he didn't focus on contacts likely to be owner. You know that filter for sure. So I thought he is doing something wrong, but when I did dive deep into it, I mean, I found like he is doing everything in the right way. Nothing was wrong. And in call tools, you can like filter in the recent calls with the disposition. So I did go and choose like wrong numbers to see what's going on, like the recording. So here's what I found. Like there was a name that his name was Sean. So as you know, Sean is it types like that. I think SEAN, right? Or SEEEN,
Okay.
something like that, right? So he was like, "Hey, scene," and it went like,
No.
yeah, it was exactly. So there was few
Well, it
of
does sound funny, but for people who pronounce, a lot of people hire a caller and then they don't listen to the calls, right?
Right. Yep.
So
It's
Yeah.
like
that's
getting
great.
your name wrong on the Starbucks cup. Like so many times I get Brian on my cup and I'm like, how do I
So
pronounce this better for these people?
yeah, how exactly did you fix it? I mean, you could correct that one name, but like, what about
Yeah.
others he might be mispronouncing?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. Like again, in our agency, it happens a lot that there is callers that do not pronounce the names right at the beginning, and here's how we fix it. So if you find like the first name is it's kind of like too complicated for you to pronounce, simply you go. So if I'm calling David, I'm gonna say Mr. and I'm gonna say the last name. It's very simple as that. If I'm calling a female, it's gonna be Mrs. and the last name. Whatever you find more easier and the more accurate to pronounce, just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do pronounce like the name in a wrong way, they are gonna be frustrated, even if they
Right.
correct you and they don't want to complete the call with you. So that's my
Or
honest
they'll hang
advice
up.
here.
Yeah, they just hang up on you. You didn't get it right.
Yes,
Cool.
right.
Thank you for sharing that, man. It makes so much sense. And that is a good trick that kind of allows them to make the better choice, right? Because if it's Sean Smith, Smith is going to be way easier.
You could,
Love that,
that's
man.
right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So you came on the call today and you said, man, I love that new drawing tool. And I was like, we've had a drawing tool, but we just added a radius tool, which is, I think, what you mean, where
Yes.
it allows you to make the circle, right? It's way easier than just drawing a custom shape. So how are you using that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we to be honest, David, I mean, the drawing tool was too complicated. I didn't know. So here's the thing. I didn't know that I have to double click to make it like stop. So I kept drawing and I can't stop.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So now, I mean, with the radius, drawing is much easier. Thank you for adding that, and thank you for the team. So I mean, the advantage of the radius, when you target based on radius, you just simply don't add many filters. So just add the radius, just likely owners and the right phone number for them, and that's it. And corporate owned is going to be no, and that's it. Simply as that. Here's why. When you do apply filters, I think on the back end, it's associated with certain data. If you are just drawing, you are targeting a certain area. It's raw data. It's not, there is no filters applied. And the good thing here, they might not, I mean, they might be not motivated as the filters data, but the thing is, they are not being called as much as the other data. So the other data have more people calls them more than those that don't have any filters.
Well, it makes sense. And now I'll kind of bring it home with 2 hours per day versus 8 hours on the weekend. What's the data say? Which is better?
Yeah. So doing 2 hours consistently every day is way, way much better than doing like 8 or 9 hours on one shot, like on a specific day or on a weekend. Consistency is the key. That's what I would always, or I would recommend, is doing cold calling 2 hours or whatever it is. Like even if it's 30 minutes, whatever time you got every day, just do it every day rather than do it as a like
Chunk.
yeah, exactly. So don't do that. That's my honest
probably
advice.
true in every category of the wholesaling process. Like even driving for dollars, it's more about consistency rather than you drive one day and you get 100 leads. It's better if you drive multiple days for a lot amount of time or a allotted amount of time. That way you get yourself in that pattern. That's, to me, that's always the biggest kick, is you got to be in a pattern of repetition if you want to have success.
Totally agree. Yes.
Yeah. Great advice. I always talk to folks, and they sent out 200 postcards, and the guy on the call the other day was like, man, I'm such an idiot. I should have known direct mail wouldn't work. But he got one response. But I was like, you got to talk to people that do this business. They spend $7,000 in Long Beach, California to get a deal at least, right? So you spent $100. So don't kick yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, guys. You know, it's like you just got to set the appropriate amount of effort, right? So basically be consistent,
money or
right?
time.
Don't just do a burst of 200 calls and say, it didn't work out.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, on every aspect. So as Ryan mentioned, like if you're in this business, just do the follow up, maybe 1 hour, do the cold calling 1 hour. If you are one man show in your business, that's my honest advice. Be consistent. Do every aspect of your business in a consistent way. So every day do it, and you will 100% get results. And I have seen this with a lot of clients that work with us. So yeah, be consistent.
Well, man, I love the action-packed agenda that you brought today, John. It was great going through that. If you guys want to know the call where actually Ryan hired John back from episode 404, Cold Calling Secrets from 360,000 conversations per month, click the link above. And then, of course, John's company is callreals.com, CALLREALS.com. And we will see you again soon, I think, John. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Sure. Thank you, David, for having me for the second time. Really appreciate it. I enjoyed both episodes.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.